Debt can be overwhelming, but mastering the art of negotiation can make it manageable. Welcome to the world of debt negotiation, an often overlooked but incredibly crucial aspect of personal finance management. When we find ourselves in the trenches of debt, it's easy to feel powerless, as if we're at the mercy of the creditors. But that's not the case. With the right knowledge and tactics, we can negotiate our way to better terms and more manageable repayments. Why is negotiating debt so important? Well, it's simple. It's about gaining control. It's about turning a seemingly insurmountable mountain into a manageable hill. It's about relieving the financial stress that can take a toll on your mental well-being. It's about securing your financial future. So, who are these creditors with whom you will be negotiating? They could be credit card companies, student loan providers, or even your mortgage lender. Each type of creditor has its own set of rules and regulations, and knowing these can give you an edge during negotiations. Credit card companies, for example, often have policies in place for customers who are experiencing financial hardship. They may be willing to reduce your interest rate, waive late fees, or even settle for a lower total amount. Student loan providers, depending on whether they're private or federal, also have various programs to help borrowers. Options can range from income-driven repayment plans to loan forgiveness in certain situations. And let's not forget about mortgage lenders. They too can often be open to renegotiation, especially if the alternative is a costly and time-consuming foreclosure process. But remember, negotiation is an art. It takes practice, patience, and persistence. It's about more than just asking for a lower rate or a reduced payment. It's about presenting your case in a way that convinces your creditors that the agreement you're proposing is not only fair, but also in their best interest. In the coming minutes, we will explore different strategies and techniques to make this process easier and more effective. Before we dive into negotiation strategies, it's crucial to understand the nature of your debt. Debt, like a many-headed hydra, comes in various forms, each with its own characteristics and challenges. The one-size-fits-all approach won't work here. It's essential to tailor your negotiation strategies to the type of debt you're dealing with. But first, let's take a moment to understand these different types of debt. First up, we have credit card debt. It's one of the most common types of debt and can pile up quickly due to high interest rates. Credit card debt is unsecured, meaning it's not tiered to any asset. This aspect gives you a bit more leverage when it comes to negotiation. Next, let's talk about student loans. These are typically long-term debts that can span decades. They are also usually low interest, but the sheer size of the loan can make it a significant burden. Federal student loans come with a host of repayment options, but private loans can be trickier to negotiate. Mortgages, on the other hand, are secured debts tied to your home. They usually come with lower interest rates, but the stakes are high. If you default on a mortgage, you risk losing your home. Negotiating a mortgage requires a delicate balancing act, ensuring you keep a roof over your head while managing your payments. Auto loans are another form of secured debt, similar to mortgages, but tied to your vehicle. They often have higher interest rates than mortgages and pose a risk of repossession if payments aren't made. Negotiation strategies here would revolve around keeping your vehicle while reducing your financial burden. Medical debts are a unique breed. They often crop up unexpectedly and can be substantial. Since medical debts are unsecured, there's room for negotiation, especially since healthcare providers prefer to get something rather than nothing. Lastly, there are personal loans. These can be secured or unsecured, depending on the terms of the loan. The negotiation approach will hinge on this factor, and typically unsecured loans offer more room for negotiation. It's important to note that each type of debt has its own laws and regulations governing it. Understanding these can give you an upper hand in negotiations. The key takeaway here is that debt is not a monolith. Each type comes with its own set of challenges, and understanding these is the first step towards effective negotiation. Tackling debt can feel like wrestling with a hydra, but remember, even Hercules didn't do it alone. He had his nephew Iolaus by his side. In your case, it could be a trusted financial advisor or a debt negotiation professional. With a clear understanding of your debt, you're better equipped to negotiate. Let's delve into a real-life case study of negotiating credit card debt. Consider Jane, a single mother who found herself buried under $20,000 of credit card debt. The first step Jane took was to get a clear understanding of her debt. She contacted each of her credit card companies to confirm her outstanding balances and interest rates, and also to express her willingness to pay off the debt. Jane's next step was to request a lower interest rate from her creditors. This might seem like a daunting task, but it's important to remember that credit card companies often prefer to receive a smaller payment rather than no payment at all. Jane was successful in getting 2 of her 3 creditors to lower their interest rates, which meant that more of her payments were going towards the principal rather than the interest. She then moved on to negotiate the amount she owed. Jane did her research and found out that credit card companies sometimes settle for less than the full amount owed, especially if the alternative is that the debtor declares bankruptcy. Armed with this information, Jane approached her creditors and proposed a settlement amount that was 60% of her total debt. After a few rounds of negotiation, 2 of her creditors agreed to her proposed settlement amount. The final step Jane took was to set up a payment plan. She worked out a monthly budget that allowed her to make consistent payments towards her settlement. Jane also made sure to get all agreements in writing to protect herself from any future disputes. It took Jane 3 years, but she managed to clear her credit card debt. Her journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Jane's story is a testament to the power of negotiation. She was able to reduce her debt, lower her interest rates, and set up a manageable payment plan. Jane's success is not an isolated case. Many people have successfully negotiated their credit card debt and regained control over their financial lives. The key is to be proactive, to communicate openly with your creditors, and to propose realistic repayment options. As seen in this case, negotiation can significantly reduce your financial burden. But how much should you aim to settle for in these negotiations? Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer, as what would be considered a fair settlement percentage in debt negotiations can vary based on the type of debt and creditor. However, there are some general guidelines that can help you navigate this tricky terrain. Typically, in the world of debt negotiation, A fair settlement is often considered to be anywhere between 30 to 70% of the total outstanding debt. However, it's important to remember that these are just averages, and the actual percentage can vary greatly based on the specific circumstances. For instance, credit card companies, being unsecured creditors, might be willing to accept a lower percentage for settlement. This is because they do not have any collateral to fall back on in case of default. Therefore, they may be more inclined to accept a settlement offer rather than risk getting nothing at all. On the other hand, secured creditors, such as mortgage lenders or auto loan providers, may be less inclined to negotiate, as they have the option to repossess the collateral in case of default. Therefore, the settlement percentages with these types of creditors might be on the higher end of the spectrum. Furthermore, the age of the debt can also play a role in determining the settlement percentage. Older debts that have been charged off by the original creditor and sold to a debt buyer might be settled for a lower percentage, as these debt buyers often purchase charged-off debts for pennies on the dollar. So, while it's hard to pin down an exact number, understanding these factors can help you gauge what a reasonable settlement might look like. It's also worth noting that negotiation is a two-way street. Don't be afraid to make a counteroffer if you feel the initial settlement proposed by the creditor is too high. Knowing what a fair settlement looks like can give you an upper hand in negotiations. And remember, information is power. The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to navigate the complex world of debt negotiation. Let's now turn our attention to a different type of debt: student loans. Imagine a young professional. Let's call her Emily. Emily graduated with a hefty amount of student loan debt, about $40,000. Despite landing a decent job, she found herself struggling to make her monthly payments. This is a common dilemma many graduates face. So, how did Emily tackle this mountain of debt? Well, Emily's first step was to gather all her loan information. She took note of her loan balances, interest rates, and lenders. This step is crucial because it gives you a clear picture of what you're dealing with. Next, Emily explored her options. She looked into student loan forgiveness programs and income-driven repayment plans. These options can provide some relief, but they come with their own set of rules and requirements. It's important to research and understand these before making a decision. Emily then decided to try negotiating her debt directly with her lenders. She started by contacting them, explaining her financial situation, and expressing her commitment to pay off her debt. Lenders are often more willing to negotiate if they believe you're genuinely trying to fulfill your obligations. Emily's negotiation strategy was to ask for a lower interest rate. By lowering her interest rate, she could reduce her monthly payments and the overall amount she'd have to pay back. Emily also asked her lenders to waive late fees and penalties. These can add up quickly and make it even harder to pay off your debt. After several conversations and negotiations, Emily managed to get her interest rate reduced and her late fees waived. This significantly lowered her monthly payments, making them more manageable. It also reduced the overall amount she'd have to repay. As Emily's story illustrates, successfully negotiating your student loan debt can be a challenging but rewarding process. It requires research, patience, and persistence. But with the right approach, it's a viable strategy to tackle your student loan debt. As this case illustrates, Every type of debt presents its own unique challenges and opportunities. Sometimes you might need a little extra help in your debt negotiation journey. It's important to remember that debt negotiation isn't a solo endeavor. There are professionals who specialize in this field to provide you with the necessary assistance. Enter the attorneys. These legal experts bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. They are well versed in the laws and regulations around debt and credit, and they can provide guidance and representation in negotiations with your creditors. One of the key roles of an attorney in debt negotiation is to ensure your rights are protected. They can help you understand the legal implications of your debt situation, and they can represent you in interactions with your creditors, making sure you're treated fairly. Attorneys can also play a significant role in credit repair. If you're dealing with a damaged credit score due to debt, an attorney can assist in the process of repairing it. They can help you identify and dispute errors on your credit report, negotiate with creditors to remove negative items, and advise you on steps to rebuild your credit. Another advantage of having an attorney on your side is their ability to negotiate with creditors on your behalf. They can use their skills and knowledge to negotiate better terms or a reduced settlement. And because they're experienced in these matters, they can often achieve better results than you might be able to on your own. Of course, it's crucial to remember that while attorneys can provide valuable assistance, they're not a magic bullet. They can't make your debt disappear overnight, and they can't guarantee a certain outcome. But they can give you the tools and guidance you need to navigate your debt negotiation journey more effectively. In conclusion, an attorney can be a powerful ally in your debt negotiation journey. They can help protect your rights, assist with credit repair, and negotiate with creditors on your behalf. Don't hesitate to seek professional help if you need it. More information on attorney assistance can be found in the description below. Mortgage debt is another common burden many face. Here's how one individual tackled it. Let's talk about John. John, like many, found himself in a challenging situation. He owed a significant amount on his mortgage and was struggling to make ends meet. The threat of foreclosure was looming, and John was desperate for a solution. John's first step was to clearly understand his financial situation. He assessed his income, expenses, and the exact amount of his mortgage debt. This gave him a clear picture of his financial health and, more importantly, what he could realistically afford to pay towards his mortgage each month. Armed with this information, John approached his lender. Instead of waiting for the foreclosure notice, he took the initiative to discuss his financial difficulties. Transparency is key in such situations. It's important to let your lender know you're facing hardship, but are committed to finding a solution. John proposed a mortgage modification to his lender. A mortgage modification involves altering the terms of your mortgage to make the payments more manageable. This could mean reducing the interest rate, extending the term of the loan, or even deferring some of the principal balance. John's lender was receptive to his proposal. They saw a borrower who was proactive, honest, and committed to fulfilling his obligations. Together, they worked out a modified mortgage plan that was manageable for John and acceptable to the lender. This negotiation process wasn't easy. It required patience, persistence, and a willingness to openly communicate and collaborate. But ultimately, John was able to avoid foreclosure and keep his home. John's story serves as a reminder that negotiation is a powerful tool when dealing with mortgage debt. It's about finding a middle ground that works for both you and your lender. Remember, lenders typically prefer to avoid foreclosure if possible, as it's a costly and time-consuming process, so don't be afraid to approach them and propose a solution. Remember, no matter the kind of debt, negotiation is a powerful tool. Before we wrap up, here are a few final tips to keep in mind. As we journey through the complex world of debt negotiation, it's crucial to remember that knowledge is power. The more you understand about your debt, the better equipped you'll be to negotiate. Whether it's credit card debt, student loans, or a mortgage, understanding the ins and outs of your financial obligations allows you to discuss your options with confidence. Remember, every creditor is different. Some may be more flexible than others when it comes to negotiating. It's essential to approach each case individually, taking into account the type of debt, the creditor, and your personal circumstances. We've talked about fair settlement percentages, a concept that can greatly influence your negotiation strategies. Generally, creditors may accept settlements ranging from 30 to 70% of the outstanding debt. But remember, this is a negotiation. It's all about give and take, and finding a balance that works for both parties. Now, let's talk about the role of attorneys. They can be a valuable resource, especially if you're dealing with more complex cases, or if you feel overwhelmed by the process. Remember, there's no shame in seeking professional help. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that debt negotiation isn't a quick fix. It requires patience, persistence, and a good dose of courage. It's about standing up for yourself and your financial future. And finally, a word of encouragement. You're not alone in this journey. Countless individuals have successfully negotiated their debts, and you can too. It might seem daunting now, but with each step you take, you're moving closer to financial freedom. So take a deep breath, arm yourself with knowledge, and step into the negotiation arena. Each conversation, each negotiation, each settlement is a step closer to your goal. It's a process, and it's a journey, your journey towards a more secure financial future. Mastering the art of negotiation can be your key to financial freedom. Start your journey today.
Ever feel like you're sinking under the weight of debt? It's a heavy burden, isn't it? One that can keep you awake at night. But what if there was a way to lighten that load? To get out of debt faster, even on a limited income? Today, we're going to explore exactly how to do that. First, take a deep breath and acknowledge the situation. The first step to solving any problem is accepting it. It might sound cliché, but it's true. You're not alone in this, and it's not a life sentence. Second, know your debts. It may sound simple, but it's crucial. Understand how much you owe, the interest rates, and the minimum payments. Write down all the numbers. It's important to have a clear picture of your financial obligations. Next, create a budget. This is your financial blueprint. It's about understanding where your money comes from and where it goes. Prioritize your needs over wants. You might have to make some sacrifices, but remember, it's temporary. Now, it's time to strategize. You've probably heard of the snowball and avalanche methods. In the snowball method, you focus on paying off the smallest debt first while making minimum payments on the rest. As each debt is cleared, you roll the money into the next smallest debt. It's a method that provides quick wins and keeps you motivated. On the other hand, the avalanche method focuses on the debt with the highest interest rate. By targeting high-interest debts first, you can potentially save a lot on interest over time. Both methods have their merits. Choose the one that suits you best. Remember, making minimum payments on time is crucial. Late payments can lead to penalties and a lower credit score. Consider increasing your income. It might be challenging, but every little bit helps. Consider a side gig, sell unused items, or look for freelance work. Next, consider talking to your creditors. Many offer hardship programs for those struggling to make payments. It never hurts to ask. Lastly, celebrate small victories. Every debt paid off, no matter how small, is a step towards financial freedom. It's a journey, not a race. So, to summarize, accept the situation. It's the first step towards change. Know your debts. Understanding the numbers is vital. Create a budget. It's your financial blueprint. Choose a debt payoff strategy. Snowball or avalanche, it's up to you. Make minimum payments on time. Avoid penalties and protect your credit score. Consider increasing your income. Every little bit helps. Speak with your creditors. They may have programs to help. Celebrate every victory. Each paid-off debt brings you closer to financial freedom. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. And with determination, perseverance, and a solid plan, you can fast-track your way out of debt, even on a limited income. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this information helpful. Remember, every step, no matter how small, is a step towards financial freedom. Keep going. You've got this.
Slashing through the finance jungle or tackling credit utilization. A vital player in credit score games, it's the ratio of your spending to your credit limit. Aim to keep it under 30%. Why? It can impact your score, affecting your borrowing ability. So, how do you do it? Simple. Pay bills on time, keep balances low, and don't close old accounts. Remember, it's not just about spending less, it's about managing more. Stay credit savvy, and your score will thank you. Ever thought about the countless situations where an attorney could come in handy? Picture this. You're buying a new house, starting a business, or perhaps facing a traffic ticket. Wouldn't it be great to have legal representation you can trust? Well, guess what? Now, you can get access to an entire network of attorneys for virtually any situation at a surprisingly affordable monthly fee. Imagine having expert advice just a phone call away, helping you navigate through the complex world of legalities. No more worrying about those unexpected legal issues. From real estate to business, family law to traffic tickets, rest assured you've got a legal expert in your corner. So why wait? The path to peace of mind is just a click away. Check out the link in the description below and let the experts take care of the legalities while you focus on what matters most. Remember, when life throws a curveball, don't face it alone. Equip yourself with the right legal representation and take control of your life. Be smart, be prepared, be legally savvy.